mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And I just got home. I am just sitting down. I just walked in the door. I immediately walked in and hopped in front of this camera to talk to you about the new Matt Reeves directed film, The Batman, which stars Robert Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz, Colin Farrell, Paul Dano. You've all seen the commercials. You've all seen the trailers. You know who all's in this thing. I got to go to a fan premiere. Today is Tuesday, March 1st. The film comes out Friday, March 4th, I believe. And, very fortunate that I was able to go to this screening, get this one checked out a little bit early. I typically don't put movie reviews on this channel because they don't fare very well, but particularly comic book movies. But I got to see this one a little bit early, so I figured it'd be a good time. Get in front of you guys, give you my non-spoiler thoughts on the film. Let me start by saying I can't really talk about the plot. For those of you who, because the Batman films that we're accustomed to, whether that's the Keaton ones, the Kilmer, Clooney, any of those, the Christian Bale ones, they don't really lean into this angle of Batman's lore, so it might be unfamiliar to a lot. But Batman has a moniker as the world's greatest detective. And this film really leans into that moniker far more than any of the previous ones have. And because of that, it dives right in to this mystery that needs to be solved. And we get clues, as I'm sure you all know, it primarily involves the Riddler, so there's clues. And we watch this story unfold over the course of this 3 hours. And because it is kind of like a mystery box that needs to be opened and examined and explored and whatnot, talking about the plot is very much spoiler territory, and I don't really want to get into that. I want to keep this non-spoiler, just giving my immediate initial reactions to the film. So I'm not going to talk about the plot too much. The first thing that I do want to talk about, though, very briefly, are the couple of things that I didn't particularly care for. And I'm going to say dislike or that I didn't like. Just a couple of things that I found to be issues. One, it is a little bit longer than it needs to be. We have a runtime of about 3 hours. I think it's technically like 2 hours, 58 minutes, something like that. We didn't need that much time. They give this one a lot of time to kind of explore this mystery and whatnot. And a lot of this information is valuable, but this is one where you could find yourself potentially looking at your watch a little bit, because it does. I don't even want to say drag, because it doesn't drag at all. But it does run a little bit longer than it needs to be. This probably would have sat better at about 2.5 hours, maybe. So it's not ridiculously long or longer than it should be. But I'd say about 2.5 hours will probably be the most this one needs. Again, a very minor complaint. I wouldn't even call it a complaint, because I have no issue with overly long films. But and then I feel like they kind of force a relationship between Bruce and Selina, which, I mean, obviously that tracks, right? Because that exists in the lore, but they don't do anything to make you believe it. Like, it's very much kind of like, let's just have them have a thing that's not really based on anything. We're not gonna have them flirting prior or delve into any kind of past they might have had with one another. It's like there's like a moment where she kisses him, and it's like, where does this even come from? Like they just did not delve into any sort of romantic territory, and then she just kisses him out of nowhere, and I just felt like that desire to shoehorn in a romance when it's really not needed, especially given the tone of this film, shoehorning in a romance, and I wouldn't even call it a romance because they don't even give it that much time, but shoehorning in these kisses, it wasn't really necessary. Selina played a bit role in this film, but her role was not too impactful on the storyline, and to really force that I can't even call it a romance, just a couple of kisses, but they're just not, they put no effort whatsoever into making that justifiable. And I don't have any issues with the two having a relationship. I mean, like I said, it's within the lore, but when you have a film like this with this kind of tone and this kind of feeling, if you're not gonna put the work into having some sort of romantic relationship, if you just have that there, it feels out of whack with the rest of the film. It doesn't really fit in. So that's my only other minor quibble, is that they shoehorn in again, it's tough to even call it a romance, but they shoehorn in a couple of kisses and something that you wonder, like, why does she even feel compelled to kiss him? Because they've had no sort of romantic interaction whatsoever to make you think that she might develop or have feelings for him. So that's my only other minor quibble. Having said that, they got one with this motherfucker, man. This is a bad motherfucker right here, this movie. It wins in virtually every way that you could ask. It's kind of like a suspense thriller. It's very dark. Saying it's very dark, it's like, okay, it's a Batman movie. Of course it's fucking dark. But like this one, it almost has like a noir vibe to it. It's like, it feels like 80s New York or something like that. And I know, we're not talking 80s, we're not talking noir, but like it feels dated but current at the same time. Like, Batman has cool tech that I'm not going to spoil, and not the typical cool tech that we're accustomed to, batarangs and all that kind of shit. There's some tech that he has in his that we haven't seen before in a Batman film that I thought was pretty cool. But despite having very current tech, the scenery feels very dated. If you saw, I say 80s might be even a stretch, but like kind of like Nightmare Alley, the film that's currently Oscar nominated by Del Toro, and it stars Bradley Cooper, Cate Blanchett. That one has a very noir vibe to it. Imagine Batman within that setting. It kind of feels like that. The police cars are very dated. They look like your cars from like the 70s or 80s. It's dark the whole time. Like, virtually the whole movie takes place at night. And what's cool is they even lean into this by, like, there's a scene where that takes place in the daytime, and it's not even outside. It's inside Wayne Manor. And Bruce kind of like squints at the light, like, I'm not accustomed to this, and then puts on sunglasses. That's how dark this movie is that in the handful of scenes that take place in the daytime, Bruce feels the need to put sunglasses on because this is just not when he operates. So I thought that was pretty cool. Very dark. I think my favorite thing about it is the score. This theme that they have for this movie, which it plays in the trailers, but they use it to great effect in the movie, and it's so ominous. And again, it's like when you think about Batman, you're used to that darkness, that mystery, but like they nail it here with that, with the darkness and the mystery. The score adds to it so much. He doesn't talk a lot. We very rarely see him as Bruce Wayne, and when we do, again, he's not talking too much. He's very reserved, very quiet. It's very much a dark film in that they want you to stay with Batman for a lot of this film. And when you look at the way we look at previous Batman films, you talk about like, oh, so-and-so was really good as Bruce Wayne, but I didn't really like him as Batman. Or so-and-so was really great as Batman, but I didn't really like him as Bruce Wayne. There's not even really much to mine here when we're talking about Bruce Wayne. This thing's Batman pretty much the whole time. So I absolutely love that. I loved the handful of action sequences that we got. They were really, really cool. Like this movie is very big on tone and mood and setting and the way it makes you feel when you're watching it. It's, like I said, very, very ominous, very tense, very suspenseful. It's a whole vibe. Like, and I don't particularly like using that term, but it really is like a whole vibe where you're just sitting there like, yo, this is fucking intense. Like the whole 3 hours, it's like, it's intense from the very opening scene all the way to the end. It's really fucking intense. You have great performances from various cast members. Colin Farrell, his Penguin is giving me kind of like a Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro kind of mixture. He's unrecognizable. Obviously, if you've seen the trailer, you know that. Paul Dano as the Riddler. We don't even see Paul Dano's actual face until super late in the movie. and they do a great scene with him at Arkham that I think everybody's gonna really love. John Turturro appears in this, which I didn't know he was in this, but he plays Carmine Falcone or Falcone, depending on what it is you've watched or read. The name's been pronounced many different ways. John Turturro's always good in everything he's in, so that was pretty cool. You know, Zoe Kravitz plays Selena Kyle, and you get Andy Serkis playing Alfred, which, again, a very different role for Andy Serkis. Like, you know, we're kind of used to Andy Serkis being that motion capture guy, and to have him kind of step out of that role, and, you know, we saw him in the MCU. What was his name? Claus? I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he was primarily in Black Panther. He was in some other stuff too. But like that character, completely different. Obviously, you can't be that character and be Alfred. So he plays an entirely different Alfred. Our man, why am I forgetting his fucking name? Jeffrey Wright, playing not yet Commissioner Gordon, just James Gordon. He's great in this. He has some moments where they kind of use him to interject just a little smidge of humor into this. It's not, they don't go for that at all, but you know, like, there's a lot of complaints about the DC movies not really interjecting humor, and I don't care about that. I'm not watching fucking superhero movies like it's fucking Dumb and Dumber. Like, I don't need jokes and shit like that. It's cool when you get a laugh watching a Marvel movie, but I don't need that. And I think this movie really leaned into that tone in a way that works. Like a lot of other stuff, they lean into that dark tone and it feels flat. This doesn't feel like that. Like I said, it's a vibe, it's a feeling, and you just feel, you can feel the weight of everything while you're watching it. It's remarkable what they do here. So, what else did they talk about? I talked about the score. Pattinson is great as Batman. Again, like, I love the fact that he just doesn't fucking talk hardly at all. The fact that I can't even say lean into the detective thing. It's just, it's a detective fucking movie, man. Like, there's a case that needs to be solved, a mystery that needs to be solved, that the Riddler has laid out. You know, it reminds me of Batman 66, the Adam West Batman. 66, 68? I don't know. But it reminds me of that because, you know, the Riddler would always have, like, it was goofy, but he was always trying to solve a mystery and shit like that. And this is like that. It's very much a mystery-driven film. So that's, for me, when you have that and you combine it with the tone and it works, and the suspense and the music and how it all comes together to give you that vibe, it just fucking works, man. There's really not much else to say about it. It fucking works. I'm at 12 minutes. There's not really much else to say because, like I said, I don't want to go into spoilers. But at the end of the day, I think this one's going to be a big hit. A big hit. Among probably with critics and definitely with fans, but also probably with critics. I could see this one making a shit ton of money. I'd like to see more films in this universe. Like, give me Joaquin Phoenix's Joker in a Matt Reeves, Robert Pattinson Batman. You know, give me that. I don't need fucking Jason Momoa and Ezra what's his face and Ben Affleck. I just walked in the house, so my brain is still kind of firing off a mile a minute, but I don't need that shit. Gal Gadot, like, that stuff's cool, and they sometimes they get it to work, sometimes they don't. But this is like, give me this. Like, give me this is the kind of Batman shit that I need. And yeah, there's no you know, let's watch his parents die again. There's no background shit at all. It just jumps right into the mystery. It's pretty cool that this is only his second year operating as Batman, so he's still very much green here, and you can kind of see that at times, especially in like the combat scenes. It's a killer, man. So two very, very, very big thumbs up for me on this one. Really, really enjoyed it. I think you guys are gonna love it as well. I implore you to go check it out. It's pretty masterful work on most levels. Like I said, I have my little minor thing. It's a little bit long, and this shoehorned kiss relationship thing with Selena it didn't work. But other than that, man, yeah, check this one out. It's a good one. So that's all I got. I'm not gonna keep you guys much longer. I don't really do movie reviews on here like that. They don't do well, but I figure, you know, like I said, I got a couple days before this one actually hits theaters wide. And, you know, I got in the house. I'm not high. I'm not drunk yet. And I'm capable of talking about it. So I figured I'd get this one up here and get out here to you guys so you can see my thoughts as soon as possible. So until next time, peace.